0. Okay, now, so this time, okay, sometimes you want to add the diagram, right? So let's say in introductions, right? In the introductions, you want to include the diagram, right? Some diagram in the introduction, okay? So then there is a couple of commands that you can use. For now, I want you to use just begin figure, but there's many different ways you can add diagrams and figures, right? But for now, just please use this command. Okay, so this is the, so you always start with the begin figure, and since you have a begin figure, you have to have end figure, right? So for example, you have a begin figure, and then you have end figure, right? And then centering means you're gonna position your diagram in the middle, right? And then this is an important command, including graphics, right? And then you have to, inside this curly bracket, you have to put the file name, right? So now, okay, this another thing is, this is like a recommended way. Let's say in here you create the folder, right? New folder. So and then the name of the folder is going to be figure, right? Or the figures or figure. So I'll say, okay, I'll just say figure, and then create, right? So then now you see that the figure is created, right? This is like a folder, by the way. It's not a file, right? And let's say you want to upload. Now you create your figure, like for example, the diagram using the Visio, right? And then your final product is like a JPEG or like PDF file, for example, right? So then you have to upload your file, your image file, like a JPEG or PDF file, right, to this figure directory, this folder, right? Then click this and then upload, right? And then select from your computer. You click this, right? Let's say your files, your image files in the let's see where your image file is. Let's say pictures, okay? Okay, so let's say this is like a I'm going to, let's say, MLS lattice, right? So this is my PDF file, and then open. Good. So when you click the figure, click this arrow button, right? You see that there's MLS lattice, the PDF file. And then let's say you want to upload one more file. Yes, fine. Upload file. And then select from your computer. And then let's see what else. Okay, I wanna. This is like JPEG, right? So click this, open. Okay, now I have two files, right? Two image file. And let's say I want to include this MLS lattice, the PDF file, right? So that means it's figure, right? So this is where you have to put the path, right? So that my path is figure, right? And then MLS lattice. The good thing about the overleaf is really like tells you everything, right? So I don't have to type everything. Just click the second one. So MLS lattice to PDF, right? So now let's compile this. Okay, let's compile this. Go back to the main, and then compile. Okay. So now you see this lattice, right? And then go back to introductions. And then you can put the captions. This is like a MLS lattice, right? That's a captions. And then, by the way, this label is something that you need because later on, right? Let's say in the above diagram, and then you can use a reference. And by the way, this tilde means I'm going to put some space. So reference, and then what? I'm going to reference this lattice. So see this lattice, right? in the above diagram, blah blah blah, right? So let's compile this, go back to main, and then compile. And then you'll see that in the diagram 1, right? It automatically puts some that figure number. So introductions, maybe I usually like in above figure, right? And then by the way, if you want to, okay, if this is too small to read, you can change the size. So now I'm gonna make to a 3-inch because 2-inch was a little bit small. So go to main and then recompile. You see that now this is right. It's the size is okay, and then yeah, in this background. Oh, where is the? Okay, hold on. And introductions. I would, this the lattice structure. Why it is not really shown? Okay. And then go to main and then let's recompile. Huh. Oh, so yeah, it's an introduction. Okay. So you see that introductions, right? But actually you can move this position. So for example, let's say, right, this is the overleaf, right? Copy. Okay, so now this is what this is like a overleaf. So in the documentation, so let's say you want to know more about the figure, right? The figure. So if you type figure and then let's say caption figures, maybe this is good one. We'll see. No, maybe this is not. Let's see. Let's find out the figure. I mean, you can Google it too. I mean, figure. Oh, the positioning, right? Positioning of the figures. Okay, good. So H means place the float here, right? And then T means position the top of the page. So there's some specifier, right? So if you go back to the overleaf and the introductions, and then you can actually change, like let's say positions. So if you want to put this on the top, you can say maybe HT. I mean, the thing is you can just play with this. So HT and see what happens. Recompile. Oh, sorry, I have to go to main and then I have to recompile. I think the reason is now I have like I have only 2 sentences introduction, but if you put more, I think eventually this figures will be in the section number 1 or maybe section number 2. But anyway, you can play with these positions. Yes, you can just play with this. Okay. Anyway, so I'm done, and then maybe you want to include one more figures, right? Yes. Let's see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy, and then you can put paste, right? And then what? This time I want to include image.jpg, right? So that's like the figure is the directory name, right? And then the actual file name is images.jpg. Click this. Okay, and then I'm gonna change the title, the captions, right? And let's say just diagram 2. And of course I have to change the label. So the figure diagram 2, for example, something like that. So by the way, the label is just the you can put any name that you want, right? Doesn't have to be fig colon the lattice, but typically, conventionally, people put the fig colon and then a name of the your diagram that you want to name. So, but this is like you don't have to follow this structure, by the way. You can put anything here, but then you have to use this, right? If you just put, let's say, the fig2, then you have to use the same name, right, that you use for this to label this figure. But anyway, so let's just compile. Maybe this is like I'm gonna change the size as 2, and then go back to main and let's recompile. Okay, so now you have 2 figures, right? Okay, so that's how you can put the figure. Okay, the power of the latex is the math equation, right? You can put a lot of really like the main reason that people use the latex is because of you can put a lot of you can put a very complex mathematical equations right into your document. So that's why the people using the latex. So let's say in the background, let's just put some mathematical equations. By the way, in here you can type, okay, by the way, the Google, you can say latex, the math symbols, for example. Then you'll have a lot of documents, right? Yeah, so you see a lot of documents, right, in the example. But anyway, so in here you can also type the math. Or maybe in here I think there is mathematics, right? So first let's take a look at the mathematical expression. In the mathematical expressions, so if you want to, for example, write this mathematical expression in a latex, right? So what I'm going to do is typically you can use begin equations or you can use these notations. So let's just copy and then paste, right? And let's compile. Go back to main. Okay, in the background section you see this mathematical equations, right? So let's just go back to the background. And okay, so first of all, this sign here, right? This one means superscript. So x to the power of n plus and y, and this means like the power of n, right? And then this means begin equations and end equations. The same thing, right? You can do the same thing. You can use, let's say, begin equation, right? And then you have end equations, and then you can put this in the middle. The same thing. The copy and paste. Okay? And then go back to main, and then you can recompile. Right? You have 2 equations, right? Okay? But first one does not have the label, right? But if you don't like this label, you can what? You can put a star, right? I think let's see. I think maybe we should, star, and then go back to main and then recompile. Yeah, that goes away, right? The numbering goes away. Okay. So now, okay, but like for example, in the middle of the sentence, you want to put the some math symbols, right? So for example, this E equal to MC square, right? In the middle of sentence, for example. In that case, so E equal MC square, right? This very famous equation. So in the background, you said, okay, by the way, I developed the following, equations, right? Equations. And then in the middle of the sentence, if that you want to put the equations or mathematical symbols, you put a dollar sign, right? You put a dollar sign, and inside the dollar sign you said E is equal to MC. Okay, is that MC square, right? So I have to say this superscript square, right? So this is like when and then maybe somewhere in the middle said, okay, the following notations. Okay, by the way, the public and private key. That's a good example. So if Alice sends her encrypted message, right, by using her maybe a message, right? So for example, in that case, using her shared key, right, or the symmetric key. So that means in here, if you want to put some documents, right, mathematical notations, then you put dollar sign. The M is the message M, right, and it's encrypted. No, actually, you know what? Encrypted her. Let's say what? Yeah, shared key. Let's say shared key, right? So that means what? Okay, hold on. You know what? Let's say if the Alice signs a message M. Okay, so this is like a mathematical symbol. Message M, read her private key, right? So it's namely what? Oops. Okay, namely read her private key, right? So namely what? So basically that's her signature, but anyway. So that means notational wise is M, right? And then okay, by the way, another thing, okay, the another thing that I want to show is that it's a subscript. So for example, let's say x1 or x2. So for example, x, and this underscore means a subscript, x1, comma, x2, right? So let's see what happens. Go to the main, and then let's say compile first. Okay, so you see that maybe this is too small. Okay, so you see that this is like x1 and x2, right? You see that subscript x1, right? So I'm going to use that concept. So in here, right, what I'm going to do is M, and then I'm going to put the curly bracket, and then I'm going to use the subscript, and now it's Alice, right? So I'm going to put the Alice. So let's compile this. So you see that M, the message M is signed by Alice, a private key. Wait a minute, is that the square bracket is the public or private key? I forgot, but anyway. Okay, now, but if you want to, for example, if you want to use the curly bracket, like this is something that you should do. Let's say dollar sign, right? And then now is a curly bracket, but this curly bracket has to be shown. So so curly bracket you can think as a special character, right? In such a case, I think it's the this, right? And this will shows you. For example, let's compile this. Yes, you see now. You see the curly bracket, right? So this, if you want to put a special character, you have to put this slash, right? And then what? The M, message M, right? So let's just compile and see what happens. Now you see M, right? But now you want to put the subscript Alice, right? then go back to background. Maybe what you can do is, there's a couple of ways. There's a couple of ways. You can put the curly bracket in the whole expression, right? And then subscript and else. Maybe this is like one way, but there's a couple of other ways. But let's see, compile. Yes, you see the MLS, right? So I want you to practice with a couple of math equations, okay? And let's say, okay, now if you go to the what? Yes, mathematics, and then subscript and superscript. So like okay. By the way, the best way to learn a latex is just you have to play with this, play with the latex. For example, you just the copy, right, and see what happens. For example, I mean this is like, okay, maybe the interval is maybe this one. If you want to practice with the latex, copy, right, and then put it in the for example in the background sections, right, and then paste, right. And then what? Compile. Where is that? Okay, so there's an equation, right? So this is the equations. So now if you want to change to the cube, so a1 power of the cube, maybe this is the one, and you try. And instead of a square, maybe power of 100, for example. And then you compile, right? And see the change. Yes. Oops. This is like, okay. So now this is not what you want, right? You want to what? A to the power of 100, right? So this is wrong, right? Then go back to the background. And then now I think what the latex read this like power of 1. So that's the problem, right? So if he wants to say the power of 100, then maybe you should put the curly bracket, right? And then let's compile. Yes, now is a to the power of 100, right? So the best way to learn a latex is that you copy some mathematical equations and you play with it, and then you compile it, and then you look at the result, right? And then you modify a couple of things, and then also compile and then see the result, right? So that's how you for example learn that's the best way to learn the latex. The good thing is, right? The good thing is you have the template. I'm going to upload this template, right? And then you can start with this template, okay? Let's say, is there anything that I need to cover? Let's see. I think that's about it for now, okay? So that's like mathematical equations. So by the way, any question? Okay, now I'm going to show you, okay? So first, okay, let me just take a 1 minute break. Oh, I need a break. 1 minute break.